I feel like I should high-five John before I start. It's nice to see you again. I've seen John a few times. He's been out to visit some of our projects. So I should say I'm also chair of CO3, so I'm really pleased that this is coming to the sector through CO3, and I'll talk a little bit about why I think that's important. But maybe just to give people a little bit of context about our organisation to set the scene, because I think CCAT works for organisations of all sizes, and it's important to say that today. We're an organisation that works across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. We're actually part of an international group of charities, but we work here as one organisation in the two jurisdictions. And we have around about 370 employees now and about 24 services. So we've grown quite substantially over the last 15 years in Dublin and 10 years here in Northern Ireland. And that's just to set the scene in terms of why I think this tool has been useful for us as an organisation that's been growing along the way. So I'm not going to say an awful lot because people can ask me questions. So just to say, we did the first report, as Nora said, in January 2012. And sort of probably why did we do that then? Well, I'd had the chance to meet John. We talked about this over a while, and I thought, I'm impatient. So we decided we would fire on and give this a go and see if it was a tool that would be good for us to use on an ongoing basis to see if the organisation was where we thought it was as a board and as a group of staff. There had been substantial growth for us as an organisation as well, and actually there's been substantial growth and change between when we did the report in 2012 and in 2016, and that's been important for us in terms of our learning and what we've implemented as a result of doing the report. We wanted to check if our trustees and our employees were on the same page. That's probably one of our biggest challenges organisationally. Sometimes we think everybody's on the same page, but actually it can seem very disconnected. So I wanted to check, and if they weren't on the same page, then try to realign people so that they understood where the organisation was. And we thought it would be an objective assessment of where we're at and any actions that we required to undertake. So just to let you know how we undertook this, and I suppose it's important to say that I had asked specifically at the time, because CCAT was new to the area here, we hadn't used it in Northern Ireland, I'd asked John specifically at the time, could we generate two different reports, one for the board and one for the staff, because there was no way of getting that comparative data for any other way. But with CO3 taking this on, they will be able to assess where the board is at and where your staff are at as well and do that analysis for you. But because we didn't have CO3 administering it here and we're having the connection back and forth between America and ourselves, it was important for me just to get two reports that I could compare and contrast right in front of myself. So we did 14 staff members in 2016. So we just did this in January. And then in 2012, we'd done 15 staff members, 6 trustees and 12 previously. That's literally just because our trustees weren't coping too well with technology. This is being recorded. If they watch this, I'll be in trouble. But there was a few of them were having problems with that. So I don't think it really matters. We had a good discussion about it. All of the trustees were at the board meeting. So if there had been any real concerns, we had a board strategy day just on Saturday past. So if there had been any real concerns, it would have come out at that anyway. Just to say, in relation to the staff group that we chose, the sample staff group that we chose, we had the senior management team and group, and that was because the senior management team, myself and the 3 directors, have a cross-border remit. So I think it was important that we understood the challenges both in the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And then we had a cross-section of senior team managers and deputy managers across both jurisdictions as well. And we capped the number at 15 just to try to make it manageable, because it is, it's a lengthy tool, and I'll say that in a moment, but it was, and also we wanted people who had a broad overview of the organisation. I just have put this up. I'm not going to go through all of our report because, firstly, it would be very exposing. And secondly, it's quite boring for you. It's interesting for me. But you'll see the ones that are not in the bracket are the 2016 reports, and the ones that are in the bracket are the 2012 reports. So what's useful for me here is that largely the trustee scores are slightly higher than the staff scores. But I think that's realistic because staff actually know more the day-to-day challenges that there are working in an organisation in terms of, bits and pieces that go on. But they're not dramatically different, and what's encouraging is they've all gone up slightly, some of them more so than others. And for example, the technical stuff jumped up, and we've done an awful lot of investment around technology as an organisation over the last 4 years to help us work on a cross-border basis. And I should have said we've moved from the infrastructure development into the impact measurement, in the life cycle, and both the board and the trustees scores. And I think that's been important for us because we have done so much investment in technology, and I think we are now really seeing the benefit of the impact measurement that we can have as an organisation. I wouldn't say we're totally there yet, but again, doing the tool in 2012 helped us think about that. So that's just to give you a sense. So the good thing for us is we were able to compare this, and it was encouraging to see that in most areas scores had increased, somewhat. It doesn't have to be a dramatic increase. And I think that we're doing pretty much above,
you are
high satisfactory.
strong.
So this is the other thing that I did for the trustees back in 2012 and in 2016, just recently, was try to compare what were the top scores for the organisation and what were the lower scores in terms of what the staff and the trustees were saying. So you can see that in 2012 it was our top scores were leader vision, manager to staff communication, the same financial management was strong, environmental learning and internal leadership. And in this year it was leader vision, technology, which again was great for me because we've invested so much we could see the improvement. Financial management was the same, manager to staff communication was still up there, and environmental learning. But the lower scores was probably the more key for me in terms of what we did after 2012 in terms of using this data to make changes over the 4-year period. So you'll see the lower scores in 2012 are fundraising, marketing, organisational resource sustainability, leadership sustainability, programme resources adaptability. And this year it's leadership sustainability, programme resources adaptability, fundraising is still there, programme staff and unifying. So in terms of what we did after the 2012 report, it was good because we could see very clearly the trustee and staff group were actually largely on the same page, which was encouraging because it meant the trustees felt satisfied that they were getting sufficient information through the board and reporting structures to know what was really going on within the organisation. And whenever staff were saying there was a problem, it wasn't a big surprise to them because they were aware of that, or when staff were saying something was going really well, they were equally aware of that. But what we did do was we made several changes. So the programme adaptability really relates, as I saw it, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it really relates to your ability to change your programmes, like, flexure programmes. And obviously, if you're very state funding, and we are like 95% statutory funded, we don't have that degree of flexibility. So again, we'd always known we needed to invest in fundraising, but this was great proof that we really did need to invest in fundraising. So over 2012, we have from 2012, so between 2012 and 15, we've significantly invested in fundraising, but equally we've significantly grown our fundraising income. So that was something that definitely came out as proof to the trustees that we really need to do this. And actually, people need encouragement to invest in fundraising because it is a risk, leadership sustainability was an issue, and leadership vision and all of this. So, and there was concern that, there's a question in the CCAT, is the organisation too reliant on one person? And, most organisations can be. So I actually took a 6-week sabbatical and got the 2 directors, as it was at the time, to act up, which was a really good experience for them. It meant that the organisation saw that the organisation didn't collapse whenever I took off and was offline. So that was it. Again, that was a really proactive decision I think the trustees took as a result of the CCAT. Equally, we then restructured internally. So we had 2 directors previously, and we restructured to have a 3rd director. Again, that was around fundraising and communication, so that's showing the investment there. But that also meant that those 3 directors were taking more responsibility within the organisation. There was a shift in terms of my role to be more externally focused in terms of fundraising, communication, marketing, those sides of things, raising the profile of the organisation, and much more responsibility taken on for internal management by the directors. And what we've seen as a result of that is I've seen that people really grow in their roles. It's definitely meant that I can focus on other priorities in our strategic plan, which is around systemic change, advocacy, fundraising. So I've been able to refocus my job, but allow other people to take more responsibility. For example, subcommittees of the board, I don't attend anymore. The directors manage all of that. I attend the board and they come with me. So there was lots of responsibility handed down to directors to allow them to grow and flourish and take on responsibility. So if I get hit by a bus, it's okay. And likewise, sorry, I should say under them, we did a similar exercise. So we did a particular, this was really a challenge for us, I think, at a central office, at within our infrastructure. So we did an independent review of our HR function, our finance function, our admin function. We're very lucky we got pro bono support to do those reviews, and that led to us restructuring our team centrally beneath the directors as well. So it was about creating succession planning beneath them as well, because certainly in our projects, succession planning isn't that big an issue. We grow a lot of people from within. We have an emerging leaders course for our project workers. We're establishing an established leaders course for our deputy managers and managers. So there was growth from frontline staff, and we've always been good, obviously, at focusing on our services because that's our core business. But sometimes we neglect the infrastructure. Wouldn't it be great to have 26% towards your overheads?
It would be nice.
So I suppose post 2016, and we've more work to do in this because we just had our meeting on Saturday, but I think what we've seen is that the investment in fundraising that we agreed to make in 2012 has worked, and that but it's still there as one of the lower scores, so we need to continue to invest in that. And also the programme adaptability is still there as one of the lower scores, so we know that we're still really overly reliant on statutory funding. And for us, there's differences between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and that. So in 2012, for example, in the Republic of Ireland, we had to cut salaries by 10%. We did not have to do that in Northern Ireland. However, the financial environment's shifting in Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland now, so we know we've got challenges around the ability to be adaptable in our programmes still. So I think we have to acknowledge that, and then that helps us talk to staff about the fact that we understand and know that that is a challenge for them each day in our services. I've talked about 2015, so a significant review and development of staff offering. Yeah, so I think one of the things for us was, in terms of the programme adaptability again, that meant, I think, if we couldn't be as flexible as we wanted to be, we would have to be even more concerted in our communication with staff and our other offerings to staff as well. So I'm happy to talk to people about this separately. We've done an enormous amount of investment in training, online training. We've developed an impact measurement tool for ourselves, which is all online. And we've developed Moodle training on our intranet system and things like that. So an awful lot of our investment has been online because we've grown and have so many staff across the 2 jurisdictions now. But I think that was really important by saying, being able to demonstrate 2012 that we had to really invest on the programme side of the house as well as the central office review. I suppose the other thing to say about this, and I don't know who else in the room does staff surveys, but we do staff surveys on an annual basis, and it's comparative data again. So I would just really encourage people, if you're doing that, to make sure that you read this information in line with your own staff survey, because obviously our staff survey, I think 65% of our employees completed that, and only 15 of our employees completed this. So I think it's really important to bear that in mind, that this is data that can be complementary to other data within your organisation. And we had a long conversation about this at the board strategy day on Saturday about the two pieces of work. And I think it's, for us, it's an increased, as I've touched on that already, increased communication. So benefits and drawbacks. I suppose the drawback for us has been there's been no benchmarking in the sector. John and I talked about that at the time, because it would be really unrealistic to benchmark our project. And we work in Depaul, USA as well, and I have a colleague that I attend international meetings with, and I know the differences. Like, it just would be not comparable, whereas it'd be great to be able to compare data with organisations in the room, or indeed in Scotland, and understand that. I should say that the survey is long, and that's probably one things that people would complain about.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of think, sure, it's like the psychometric test, is do it quickly, and I think you need to do it quickly without overthinking it as well. I think it's good to have involvement of staff and trustees, and as I said before, the benefit for us was being able to compare trustee and board views of the organisation, and being able to share that information back with them. There was no surprises for us, and you just touched on that earlier, John, which was good, but it did help us to refocus on the areas of development, particularly, as I said, at a time that was challenging in the Republic of Ireland and now challenging here in Northern Ireland. It helped to highlight some areas that can be more delicate to highlight. So, it's not great for me to go in and say, there's a real issue here about leadership succession planning, but this brought it up because people were saying it, so then you start to think about it, and it really helped with my discussion with the trustees about restructuring the senior team, for example, and investing in people and growing people, beneath the directors as well, and having a real focus and succession plan at that infrastructure level, which we had been good at a programme level. It was reassuring, and it was a good health check, and it was good for us this time in terms of the comparable data for 2012, so it was helpful for us to be able to see that there had been some improvement within the organisation, but still areas that we needed to focus on, and that's really around the programme adaptability for us, and that'll be our central focus now moving forward. So that's me.